Vikings 27, Lions 24. They prevail at Ford Field. Sometimes they were their own worst enemy, but for the most part, I think we have to say that this was the most impressive Vikings victory of the season, considering everything that's at stake, considering the quality of opponent, considering everything that led up to this moment on Sunday. I'm going to call this their most impressive win of the year. Yeah, they beat the Bengals 48-10 earlier this season. Sure, they had a comeback against the Browns in their game overseas. Yeah, they came back and beat the Bears in the first game of the season. This, though, was different. This game, you get J.J. McCarthy back from injury. He takes you to touchdown drives on your first two possessions of the game, 2 touchdown passes, sets a tone. Everything looks crisper. I think I commented somewhere in the midst of all that, hey, this is how it was supposed to look from the beginning of the year, right? Aaron Jones running hard, getting a bunch of yards on first down, setting up McCarthy for success, play action, offensive line, your 2 tackles who haven't really been healthy together for any sustained stretch this season, Brian O'Neill and Christian Darrisaw, those guys playing and contributing at a high level. All your receivers out there, Jordan Addison, who wasn't there at the beginning of the year, like everything was how it was supposed to be at the start of the year. Was it pretty? Not a lot of time. Like for the first quarter and a half, it was crisp. The rest of the game, I would not say it was crisp. It wasn't particularly pretty. They got away from the run a little bit, I thought, too much in the end of the second quarter. You know, McCarthy starts having to run for it a little bit more. There's some breakdowns. There's penalties all over the place, both teams. But you trust J.J. McCarthy to make the plays when it matters most. That includes the first 2 touchdown drives. That includes maybe some ill-advised stuff on the Vikings' last 3 points of the game, which I'll get to in a minute, but sets up Vikings got to have it, right? It's 27-24. Detroit's got the Vikings into a 3rd and 5. If the Vikings convert a first down, Detroit's only got 1 timeout left. Game's over. So you go into that situation, you're like, okay, McCarthy's got to make a play. You can't just hand off, make them call their last timeout, and then watch them either score a touchdown or kick a field goal at that moment. That's not what that moment calls for. That moment calls for a big-time throw, a big-time catch, and that's what they got from McCarthy and Jalen Nailor, the game-sealing first down, and then they run out the clock for the rest of it, and 27-24 is the escape. Detroit falls to 5-3 now. Vikings 4-4. Green Bay loses at home to Carolina. So that's interesting. Chicago almost gave a game away in excruciating fashion to the Bengals, only to have the Bengals outdo themselves by giving up a long touchdown at the end. Bears won 47-42. So the Bears are 5-3. The Vikings are 4-4. Lions are 5-3. Packers 5-2-1. Vikings like kind of hanging by a thread. But here's one thing to consider. Well, we'll get into more of the game in a minute. Here's one thing to consider. They're 2-0 in the division. 2 road wins in the division at Chicago and at Detroit. Those are their 2 division games so far this season. 2-0 in the division. Those are hard games to win. They're setting themselves up for tiebreakers if it ever gets to that, but they've got to do a lot more to get to that point. Can they do that? I don't know. I still don't quite know what to think other than it looked better today. It looked more like you wanted it to look. McCarthy made some good throws, especially early. I think he was like 8 of 12, 9 of 12 at one point, but finishes, 14 of 25. So the accuracy from McCarthy is a bit of a concern for me. He missed some throws that you just have to have. The interception where Nailor kind of tries to one-hand it, bring it in, that ball's behind him. An easy on-the-run sideline throw to Jefferson. Sails it over his head. Jefferson sitting there like, come on, man, give me the ball. Like that kind of stuff, the accuracy has to get better. You've got, I think that's some of what Kevin O'Connell is talking about with the footwork stuff, with when he plays the way he should, he's in good position. He's in good shape, things like that. Like it falls apart sometimes when he gets on the run or he doesn't set his feet right. you see the accuracy issues in those cases. Sailing throws, throwing low, throwing not in front of a receiver enough. He's got to work on that. He's not leading guys enough in certain cases. The touch was there on some of them. That pass to Naylor, that's perfect. That's where it had to be to complete that pass. That was Naylor's only catch of the day, by the way. Jefferson had 6 catches for 47 yards and a touchdown. Hawkinson just 2 catches for 11 yards, but he had a touchdown as well. Like, the offense only gained 258 yards. It was not a stellar outing for the offense, but enough there to come away with a 27-24 win. That was the score of the Bears game earlier this season too. So interesting, just kind of an interesting side note there that ends up being the score of both of those games. But you had Jones running hard, but then he gets hurt at a certain point. Mason was functional, 10 carries, 36 yards. He had some tough runs. Big plays told the story. I thought Cashman stripping Montgomery after Montgomery had kind of surprised them by running for a first down. That was a huge play. And then obviously the blocked field goal after momentum seemed to be going against the Vikings. They'd had a return brought back, a kick return brought back that would have been a touchdown that got brought back. Drive stalled. Then all of a sudden you're sitting there. You at least get them to do at least force a field goal after Jonathan Gennard had jumped off sides on a 4th down. And then you get the blocked field goal. You come away with 3 points from that. Not ideal, but you're still feeling like you're in reasonable shape. But that, a lot of those moments in the game went the Vikings' way. They just haven't been going their way, especially last week. Those were not going their way last week against the Chargers at all. Some major quibbles outside of McCarthy's accuracy. What are they doing on that last big offensive drive? Not the one that clinched it. That was good. That was fine. They made the play they had to make, but you're up 24-17. You're trying to go up 2 scores. You get I think it was a long run by Mason, like a nice run down to the 2. You got a defensive holding call to bring it to the 1. You've got 1st and goal from the 1. You're trying to milk some clock. You're trying to, you've got it down under 5 minutes, under 4 minutes really at that point. You do a run. Mason gets stuffed. He's at the 2. Then an incompletion to Jefferson. And then McCarthy tries to run. He gets stopped. He goes out of bounds. They've got to kick a field goal at that point, but 2 plays where they stop the clock for the Lions. That looms large at the end when the Lions, scored to make it 27-24 with 1:54 left. Then they don't have to go onside. They can just, they've got all 3 of their timeouts. They can just go and try a kick and a defensive stop. Now the Vikings, to their credit, made the play, didn't come down to it. But if that game goes the other way because of that, we're talking a lot about that moment. And that was what a couple people brought up in the comments as well. I saw on Blue Sky, terrible clock. This was on Twitter. Terrible clock management by KOC. And then on Blue Sky, great win, but didn't like KOC's play calling from near the 1 in the end. Stopped the clock twice unnecessarily. Fortunately, didn't cost us. Yeah, that's true. You got to be better down there. I don't know what the answer is. I mean, part of this is the frustration of not being able to score still when you've got 1st and goal at the 1, not just being able to say, hey, we're a physical enough football team. We've got the horses that we're just going to come in there and pound it at you and get a yard. Mason loses a yard on that attempt. Then they try to get cute, right? They roll McCarthy out to the right. They've got Jefferson. Passes a little bit behind him, but still, it's not a great, not a great play, not a great opportunity. If, like I said, it was batted down. It's incomplete. So then the clock stops. 3rd down, you roll him out to the left, short side of the field. There's nobody really there to help. Like, that was like, what is going on? And he runs out of bounds. That's probably a mistake. At least stay in bounds so that you're not stopping the clock there. But McCarthy did not get a lot of help from KOC in that 3-play sequence, because then it comes down to, okay, the defense has got to make a stop. Now, Detroit, to their discredit, bungles the first minute and a half of their possession. They get it to like the 35, and it's still 2 minutes left. Everyone's like, what are they doing? So they had a little bit of that. But then right after the 2-minute warning, you get a long touchdown. It's 27-24. So they're 1 play away. If McCarthy is long with that pass, if he's short with it, if there's more pressure, if Naylor drops it, like, Vikings are going to have to punt there from their own 30. Detroit's going to get the ball back with plenty of time and have a chance to, at least kick a field goal, if not be in position to score a touchdown that wins that game. So a little element of bailing Kevin O'Connell out. I thought overall, though, he called a good game. I think we're maybe focusing in on that a little bit because of how much it could cost him. All in all, it was a game where everybody kind of covered for everybody else, right? Like you had the offense covering up for the defense's mistakes. The offense scores twice early after Detroit goes down and scores right away. You had the special teams where you had a big return that sets up the first touchdown, but then a big return wiped out by a holding call. And then you're like, man, special teams, can't get out of their own way. But then they do get the field goal block. That pretty much that's the play of the game. That's the momentum turning the play of the game. Goes from what would have been 24-20 Vikings to being able to at least come down and kick that field goal, even if they should have done more with first and goal at the 1. That proves to be the difference in the game. Another difference in the game and enabling to them to play complementary football is they didn't trail a whole lot in this game. They've been in a trail position for so much of this season. In this game, they were barely in a trail position at all. Like Detroit goes up early, goes up 7-0 early, but the Vikings come right back and tie it. And then the Vikings get 14-7. And then, then they're either tied or ahead for the rest of the game. They don't let Detroit get back in that leading position the rest of the game. So the Vikings played with a lead in this game for a lot of the game. They were probably ahead for I would say 45 or 50 minutes of this game. So that part of it is impressive to me as well. So I think, that we can't underrate that. They're able to play the style that they want because they are able to, they're able to have able to get the lead. I mean, they just haven't been playing with the lead. They can't get a pass rush if they don't have the lead. They can't do all the things they want to do on offense, but they don't have a lead. They're able to do that in this game, and they're able to kind of, not have to abandon the run, at least as a matter of principle in this game. They're able to do all the things they want to do. They're able to, have the kind of game. It felt like the blueprint, right? It felt like the blueprint from the start. They had 29 runs, although 9 of those were McCarthy, a couple of those kneel downs at the end. He's scrambling all around. He did scramble for a touchdown. He threw for 2 touchdowns. So you've got, that element in it as well. But, they're able to have a good balance. They still don't have a ton of yards, but they're able to at least get off some plays. They're able to kind of run their offense. They're able to play the kind of complementary game that they want to play. And that's, and then they're able to be, varied on offense. I think they did a good job against Goff. They did a good job stopping the run. They did a good job stifling Gibbs. Only had 9 carries for 25 yards. Montgomery, 11 for 40. Like, Detroit has an amazing run game. They held that basically in check. So impressive bounce back game from the defense. Impressive big time play from special teams in a couple cases. And they're able to, execute the way they want to, which just hasn't been the case this season. Let's get to a couple more things before we go. Chet says, a lot of good, plenty of bad. We'll take the dub. Agree with that. Sometimes you just have to say, you know what? Not going to quibble with all the aesthetics of a game. They won a game in Detroit. Very hard place for them to win. Place that Kevin O'Connell had not won before. So that piece of it is impressive. You'll take it however you can get it. So I think that's true. Vikings less said we have our quarterback. I don't know. It's too soon to say. I thought McCarthy was good. I thought Tom Brady made some great points, both on the plus side and the negative side. He said that throw to Naylor, I think, the bad one that was picked off, that was a D throw. Like, you've got to be more accurate with those. He's saying, he's really good on a certain type of sideline outbreaking route, like 15 yards down the field, which I saw a lot in training camp, but there's a lot of throws that he's got to work on. He's got a lot to work on, but this is the blueprint, right? Play well around him. Let him make enough plays. Let him play through mistakes enough that he is able to help you win, but also develop. Like, that was what this year was supposed to be all about. Now they're 4-4 in this moment. They've gotten themselves back to level. They've gotten him back on the field. They're starting to get information about him. And I think that's the most important thing of all. Greg says, gutsy win from the Vikings. Was it perfect? Absolutely not. Was it everything you'd hope for from a team led by a young quarterback? Absolutely. Great win. and lots to build on for JJ. And I think that sums it up perfect. I think that's about where you want to leave this. It's like there's a lot of room for him to improve. There's a lot of places for him to go. There's a lot more you want to see, but some of the guys who hadn't been stepping up, stepped up. Hargrave made some plays today. Both your tackles were on the field. Addison was in the game and made some plays. Like, there was a lot of things to like in this game that McCarthy didn't have for his first 2 starts. And I think that's something important to remember. Like, it's probably not going to be pretty this year. You've got a young quarterback who hasn't had the reps yet, but you can do enough if you play this way to win games and sustain yourself. And maybe, just maybe, hey, if Green Bay keeps losing like this, if Detroit keeps losing, the Bears, their defense is awful. Like, maybe this division is a little bit more wide open than we thought. Maybe, just maybe, they can get back into it. But even if they can't, they're at least getting some of the answers to the questions they absolutely need to have answered. That'll do it for me. Thanks for sticking around for the post game. We'll be back at it with Royce on Monday. Until then, I'm Michael Rand. Thanks so much.